Coming up on ATV News. A shooting at the University of Utah rattled their students. We'll show you how it's affecting students here. We'll show you what firefighters did when they couldn't find the source of a house fire. We'll show you what drama this llama is causing.
Normally, women's rugby and men's soccer wouldn't be practicing at this time of year. In sports, I'll tell you why they're still on the grind.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
Located a possible victim, multiple gunshot wounds, echo. Let's look at doing a lockdown.
University of Utah track athlete Lauren McCluskey was killed this week. This is ATV News. I'm Caitlin Rinless-Baker.
And I'm Ayana Likens. The McCluskey family released a statement Tuesday. In it, Lauren's mother said Lauren was returning to her university apartment from her night class while talking on the phone with her parents, when suddenly Mrs. McCluskey heard her yell, "No, no, no." She thought Lauren might have been in a car accident. That was the last Lauren's family heard from her.
Once we did find her deceased, we started a large manhunt for our suspect.
The university released this photo of Melvin Rowland at 10:09 p.m. and identified the 37-year-old as the shooting suspect. The McCluskey family says Rowland lied to Lauren about his name, age, and felony charges, and that she ended their month-long relationship when she found out. Police say they found Rowland in a nearby church dead with a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
The cast and crew at ATV News send our condolences to the McCluskey family. When college students across the state heard about the death of a fellow student, university student body presidents called for support. People here at Utah State are wearing red to remember University of Utah student Lauren McCluskey, who was shot and killed on campus Monday evening. Despite school rivalries, students say they are still showing their support from almost 100 miles away.
It's something that we gotta bring to light. And that's why we're out here wearing red.
We're all united as Utah students.
But at the end of the day, we're all students and we're all Utahns and we're all Americans.
A vigil is being held in honor of McCluskey tonight at 5 p.m. at the Park Building in Salt Lake City. Unique methods were used to find the source of a house fire in Richmond on Monday. Firefighters used a backhoe to strip the home of its two-layer roof to try to extinguish the fire. Firefighters say they located the fire on the outside of the home but struggled to find the source on the inside. The owner of the home was transported to the hospital by medics for smoke inhalation. Firefighters say to be careful when preparing for colder temperatures.
When we're using our space heaters and whatnot, our fireplaces, that we make sure we clear things away from the fireplaces and the space heaters. I know it's getting cold, and so if we can do that, then hopefully will prevent further fires.
Firefighters have not yet told us the cause of the fire.
A man is recovering after a crash with a big rig. This semi truck was traveling on 200 West when it failed to yield and ended up crashing into this car on 1400 North. Firefighters extracted the driver from the car, and then the ambulance transported him to Logan Regional Hospital. Police say the driver of the car has a broken leg, and the semi-truck driver walked away with no injuries.
You've probably heard the statistics behind suicide. ATV's Haley Hendricks shows us some of the faces behind the mental health crisis. Haley?
That's right, Caitlin. I spoke with people from Cache Valley who have struggled with suicidal thoughts. They say they share their story and hope to bring awareness to such a tough subject.
I love to play soccer. I love to watch soccer. Soccer is just one of my favorite things to do.
Okay, open it.
I'm gonna go under.
I'm a stay-at-home mom. I really enjoy Halloween. we spend all year long figuring out our costumes. Right?
These are people just like you with struggles like yours.
We moved down here from northern Idaho, and I didn't know anybody.
I was struggling with a major breakup.
They carry on day to day, but sometimes they have thoughts you might not understand.
I would get up, and it would just be dark. And not like literally dark, but everything just had this like giant like shadow over it.
There is one form of me that is negative, really negative, and then there's the other part of me that, you know, wants to be this happy guy.
Researchers say these thoughts and feelings can stem from depression.
I was pretty much saying to God, like, just do with me whatever, just take me off this planet, I'm done, I'm sick of this.
One day my kids were at a friend's house down the road here, and I was like, you know what, that's it, I'm done, I can't do this anymore.
Fortunately for Bybee and Kyle,
I don't know, something just clicked, and I was like, I don't want my kids to find me like this. How bad would that be?
I just decided I didn't want to be in that dangerous place anymore.
to help them through the hard times, they are both going to a support group here at the Cache Valley National Alliance on Mental Illness Center. The National Institute of Mental Health says in 2016, 9.8 million adults were having serious thoughts of suicide, and 1.3 million adults attempted. While statistics give insight into just how many, survivors say there's a face behind each one.
I don't think it's fair for any woman to feel like they're a statistic.
I don't think of myself as a statistic. Everyone's their own individual.
That's just treating somebody, well, you're number one, you're number two, you're number three. No, I'm Samantha.
Bybee and Kyle say if anyone is struggling with mental illness, to remember that you're not alone and there's help. Next time we'll explore what resources are available. For now, take down this number if you feel that you might need it.
Thanks, Haley.
The HOWL is on Friday, and there are some potentially scary things you might want to be aware of before you go. ATV's Nicole Heaps tells you how you can be ready for the event.
The dance portion of the HOWL is happening here, where these people are playing pickleball. According to a Utah State Sergeant, this area will be the biggest crowd gatherer at the HOWL, meaning there may be a bigger need for cops here.
The biggest problem we have over here is people overheating because it gets so hot. We are trying to rectify that problem this year by opening up our 2 gates right over here to get some cross breeze.
Dunn says although Utah State is a dry campus, there's also a problem with people showing up to the HOWL drunk. There will be over 30 officers at the HOWL prepared for any potential danger.
Sergeant Dunn with USU Police says you cannot wear a mask to the HOWL so that they can tell who you are and keep people safe. But not being able to hide under a mask doesn't always stop some people from committing crimes.
There has been some groping, some incidents of groping and that in the past.
The director of the HOWL says USUSA is working with Savvy to make sure people going to the HOWL know that costumes do not mean consent.
Don't come in drunk, don't come in with any of that stuff in your system, and just come and come and expect to have a fun night, but don't come and harass people, don't come and that's just not what the HOWL is about. The HOWL is about we're all just getting together, having a fun night.
Nicole Heaps, ATV News.
If you see any inappropriate behavior, including alcohol, sexual assault, or crime at the HOWL, please contact USU Police.
The Brigham City Police Chief is in critical condition tonight after he had a stroke and aneurysm over the weekend. Brigham City Police say Chief Dennis Vincent was taking his annual physical fitness exam when he collapsed in the middle of it. The community rallied behind him by putting up these signs saying, "We've got your 6," which means I've got your back in military and pilot terms. Last night, Brigham City Police say Vincent's pressure in his brain had spiked a few times, but they are hoping his pressures will remain steady the rest of the day. Coming up,
I'm Christy Ocken, and I'll show you why Aggie Creamery isn't only famous for their ice cream.
It's a beautiful day here on campus. I'll show you what we have in store next week in weather. The current temperature is 65 degrees.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back. I'm Cassandra Solarte, and this is ATV News. So we saw a little bit of rain this weekend. That rain has moved east, hitting states like Texas, Iowa, Washington, and Minnesota with the most rainfall. Let's take a look at what we have in store for next week. So sunshine is going to be continuing on through the week. We're seeing higher temperatures than normal at this part of the year and this season. On Tuesday, we're going to get a little bit of rainfall, and the temperatures are going to dip into the 50s, and the lows will be 26. So that might mean a little bit of snow for the upcoming weeks.
Wow, I just don't know if I'm quite ready for that snow yet.
Yeah, me neither.
I know that I'm not. And one of the scariest things about the weather changing is the driving conditions on the road. If you have a loved one that is taken to the hospital because of an accident, the emotional toll can be exhausting.
That's true, Caitlin, but a group of people here in Logan are trying to help those who have to go through it. ATV's Zachary Iedo digs into their special project developing in the Cache County Attorney's Office.
Okay, so then we can do this.
Taking tags off clothing to put them into what they call Brian Locke's bags, named after the Cache County lieutenant whose funeral was last weekend.
This is a fitting tribute to a man who has given so much and has cared for so many people, and his legacy will be able to live on through the Brian's bags.
Lotion. Yes.
If you're in a shooting, a loved one has committed suicide, or some other traumatic event, buying a toothbrush is probably the last thing on your mind. These bags are here to provide comfort and meet your emergency needs.
Needs such as personal hygiene, water, and warm blankets. So next time Terrell's on a traumatic case, she can give her Brian's bag to people like Desiree Turner, who was shot and left for dead. About a year later, she is here, making these bags.
I love that my tragic incident has inspired others to do good. There is good that comes out of bad situations. I hope people always remember that.
Zachary Iedo, ATV News.
Terrell says she hopes to make 100 of these bags with the help of more volunteers.
To you, a farm might seem like a place to grow vegetables and raise animals. ATV's Bronson Tigert shows us how one farm in the middle of a busy Utah city is growing more than food.
In the middle of a West Valley City neighborhood, a farm. And in the farm, a classroom. This is Roots Charter School. Carpentry, math, work, horticulture, and animal husbandry are learned here. That sound, one of the security guards.
There's always something going wrong in a school, and there's always a challenge on the farm.
The hardest challenge now, this feral dog. Principal Bastian and his students thought this gate would be enough to protect the alpacas. But without the help of larger, woollier friends, it wasn't enough.
We came to the farm and we found 2 sheep that had been pretty badly mutilated, and then a dead goat. And so that was kind of our first incident.
I found the first goats and sheep, and I've been helping, kind of trying to get the dog and help our animals stay safe.
More animals have been killed in other attacks. This alpaca is a survivor.
Does that go the same for goats?
Goats are about the same.
Working with a Utah State University Extension agent, Bastian and his students found a solution.
Kind of a cute little bugger, isn't he? My first response was, well, let's get him a llama and a donkey.
Gus works with his taller partner.
The students down here have named him Cusco, and we brought Cusco down from our farm
to help with the dog problems at Roots Charter School. His ears, eyes, and hooked hooves make Cusco a deadly security guard. But Cusco and Gus can't bring back the animals that were lost.
Kids had loans out for these breeding projects
to build a herd and a future.
And then they were just kind of left not being able to pay them back and with no animals.
And that's an experience that they don't really get in a normal school.
Though a hard lesson, it's one of the many learned at Roots Charter School.
It's definitely taught us life lessons, not just through the dog attack, but just raising animals. It gives you a good sense of responsibility.
It helps when that responsibility is shared with a protective friend. Bronson Teichert, ATV News.
The dog killing the animals has been caught by West Valley City Animal Control. Aggie Creamery doesn't only have Utah's #1 ice cream. Christy Ocken has the story.
Thanks, Caitlin. I'm here at Aggie Creamery, where you may have a favorite ice cream flavor, but that's not the only thing they're known for.
Okay, what kind of ice cream would you like?
While famous for its ice cream, Aggie Creamery also makes 7 of its own original cheeses.
So we have a sign here that says that you can learn about our award-winning cheese.
You can read a flavor description of each cheese, get some ideas on how to pair it and what to cook it with, and see the multiple awards.
About 10 years of history of our award-winning cheese. We like to display it and kind of brag that we've done good things.
Now they have even more to brag about because Aggie Parmesan and 2 of their aged cheddars all took home hardware at this year's Utah Cheese Awards. 5 cheesemakers won honors out of 41 entries, including Aggie Creamery.
The one that's won the best hard cheese is Aggiano. It's kind of their spin on Parmesan, but 2 years in a row, the best hard cheese.
And back at Utah State, they love the Aggiano too.
I can eat it like candy.
They recommend to shred it and put it on everything. Besides making award-winning cheeses, they also teach a short course cheese-making class. And you may recognize some of their past students. Heber Valley Artisanal Cheeses and Beehive Cheese from Uinta both learned the trade right here. Back to you, Kate.
Thanks, Christy.
The North Logan Pumpkin Walk has been a fall tradition for the past 35 years. Ari Engel joined the crowds to show us what all the buzz is about.
It was so cool and how creative everyone was.
The Coco over there, that was so awesome.
I personally was a fan of Shrek.
The Pumpkin Walk draws in large crowds during the month of October. Every year it has a different theme.
Oh, Shrek!
This year it is Where in the World.
It can be anywhere in the real world or it can be in the imaginary world, and we've got some of that here. There's a really huge variety this year and it's really fun. We're very full. We even have some extra scenes.
Several organizations and volunteers came together to set up the Pumpkin Walk in just one day.
About 800 of these carved pumpkins line the walkway at the Pumpkin Walk. A variety of local organizations carve them every year.
This is the 35th year for the annual Pumpkin Walk and a tender one for those involved.
One of the really longtime artists, great supporters of the Pumpkin Walk, Nancy Israelson, we are honoring her this year. We lost her this year, so we're missing her, but we are remembering all the magic she created with her art. She made the entrance gate that you'll see.
Thanks to Nancy and dozens of other artists, the Pumpkin Walk has something for all ages to enjoy.
It's just a happy place.
Airty Engel, ATV News.
So Ayana, if you were to make a pumpkin sculpture, what would it be?
You know, I think I'd just add some black stripes on that pumpkin and call it a basketball.
Hey, I like that plan.
I like that idea too. Speaking of other sports, coming up, find out why the USU volleyball coach isn't disappointed in his 4-17 team.
In Utah, 1 in 8 women and 1 in 50 men will be raped. Also in Utah, 1 in 3 women will experience sexual violence. Of the completed and attempted rapes against college women, less than 5% will actually be reported. Sexual assault should not be a part of the college experience. Always get consent.
Consent for sexual activity is enthusiastic.
Consent is sober.
Consent is non-coerced.
Consent is verbal.
Consent is mutual.
If you or someone you know has experienced sexual assault, report it at reportingsa.usu.edu.
Hey guys, just coming in after a high of this week in Aggie sports. I'm Paige Zamora, and Utah State volleyball is headed into the final stretch of their season also on a high note after beating Air Force at home on Thursday.
Our team cohesion is really tight right now, so it's interesting because sometimes when you struggle, that tends to break down just a little bit. But I think our team, the personalities on our team is really refreshing because they're.
Freshman Presley Jensen had a stellar defensive performance with 8 blocks, part of the team's total 17, while 3 Aggies led in scoring with 10 kills apiece. This is only the 4th win for the Aggies this season, but head coach Grayson DuBose is happy with his team despite their struggles.
Our team cohesion is really tight right now, so it's interesting because sometimes when you struggle, that tends to break down just a little bit. But I think our team, the personalities on our team is really refreshing because they're just these great kids who work hard for each other.
You can catch the volleyball team back home tomorrow as they take on San Jose State University. Women's rugby and men's soccer are preparing for playoffs this weekend. The women's rugby team is ranked #1 in their division and will play in Greeley, Colorado this weekend against the University of Colorado. Coach THERESA Pittsinger says she has always expected this team to make it this far.
This season, I don't think it's unexpected. We've got a great team this year, and so we've been aiming for this all season to head to the top of our division within the Rocky Mountain Conference, and so it is a big deal that we're going, but I'm not surprised because we have some excellent players.
And men's soccer will be headed to Eugene, Oregon for the NIRSA North Regional Tournament to face teams from across the West. Gabriel Beebe and his teammates say they feel their work deserves support from the university.
We're a club at USU, but we take things pretty seriously and we bring in titles for the university.
After winning these tournaments, both teams will advance to division, then possibly national playoffs. And also this weekend, USU football had their first subpar game this weekend in Wyoming, but I've got my top 5 moments from the game for you. At #5, senior defensive end Adewale Adeoya recovers a fumble forced by senior Jontrell Rockamore. I want you to look at this side view here. Can you believe how much that ball bounces around before the Aggies jump on top of it? And of course, there was no doubt it was called Utah State's ball. At #4, a one-handed catch from sophomore Jordan Nathan. Not the smoothest throw, I'll admit, that we've ever seen from Jordan Love, but Nathan gets to it with his go-go gadget long arms. Third best from the week, from just the 3rd play of the game, is Darwin Thompson with the run for 56 yards. Get this, guys. He's a junior running back and he had 2 touchdowns on the game and a total of 109 rushing yards. Look at that, he beats all of them. No one in front of him. Wide open spaces for this guy. Savon Scarver comes in at #2 with a kickoff return that looks like he's known from the start that it would be the prettiest one. We saw a total of 99 yards. That makes it 7 non-offensive touchdowns for the Aggies on the season. And then for my pick at number 1 is this almost pick 6 from Jontrell Rockamore. They take him down at the 3rd-yard line. But I want to take this one back, Bobby. Will you show me this again? I just can't get enough of this interception. Look at that. Stretching with everything he's got. Right in the middle of that. Beautiful interception. 7, like I said, non-offensive touchdowns for the Aggies this season. And they finished that game atop the Cowboys 24-16. You can let me know what you think of the top plays from this game and anything else you've seen on this segment of ATV Sports at Aggie_TV News and SportsPage94 on Twitter.
Wow, Paige, it sure was a busy week for Aggie sports.
Thanks for the rundown.
You may see some students dressed in military uniforms across campus, but there was a time when there were so many they could almost fill the quad. Caitlin, you were able to talk to a past ROTC student who was there at that time. What was it like?
It was great hearing a first-hand experience from such a different time. It would be quite the sight to see that many members fill the quad. These Utah State University Reserve Officer Training Corps students are working on improving their run time. They train 3 days a week as a unit. Seeing ROTC students on campus has been a common sight through the school's history.
This program is almost as old as a university, dating back to 1892.
My understanding is that ROTC started out as the SATC during World War I. Women had the sponsor corps, which was sort of their own separate unit. All male students had to take part in some form of military exercises. I want to say up to 1958.
You can find great information about the Army ROTC's history here in the archives by pulling out any one of these old yearbooks. But if you want a personal look into what it was like, try talking to someone who was there.
I was in the ROTC starting in 1945 in Logan Senior High School.
Blazard continued his time in the ROTC at USU.
We had to learn how to march. We had to learn to take commands. We had to learn about the use of rifles and different weapons. We mostly marched and took classes on being an officer and the standards that were required of being an officer in the United States Army.
The motto of USU's program being the West Point of the West was based originally on it being the second largest commissioning program in the nation.
When we would stand parade on the quad, we filled almost all of the quad at Utah State.
They were really active. I mean, that it was a really big deal at the time.
Everybody joined. We were just having an awful good time. All of our friends were there, and so we had good buddies and just enjoyed ourselves because young kids growing up having a lot of fun.
So for you about what it's like to be in the ROTC now in our next show.
Why would you want to launch a bowling ball through the air? To test your pumpkin launcher, of course, ATV's Bobby Russell shows you how USU students are learning about history by repeating it.
Launching and squeaking are signs this trebuchet is working well, even though it broke the day before.
We attempted to load it with 1,600 pounds. Unfortunately, that was its absolute limit, and when we launched with that one, it completely shattered. Luckily, this year, we did get a replacement axle.
Students say they built this machine to learn how things were back then.
By building one at this scale, you can realize the problems that you need to overcome to actually erect the structure.
This 33-foot tall trebuchet was built with some wooden pegs and some modern bolts. It can launch a 16-pound bowling ball over 900 feet.
I mostly do it to hear the bowling ball whistle.
And to share their passion for history with others.
To show the engineers that historical engineering is cool.
Students say they are grateful they can get more people interested in history with their piece of it. Bobby Russell, ATV News.
You can see engineering students launch more pumpkins this Saturday at Elk Ridge Park.
What were your favorite stories this week?
We'll post a show on Facebook. Tell us in the comments what your favorite story was.
Or check out what's going on behind our camera on our Instagram.
Have a great week, Aggies.